Urquhart, our associate director, and Chris Link, our farmland manager, and Tamarya Sims, our community farm associate. This is a subject that's near and dear to our hearts, and we're so excited to be able to share it with you. And that's our community farm and all of the agricultural and environmental things that are happening there, and visitation for people. And we're so proud of this property. It was actually donated to SAHC in 2010. So for the last 11 years, we've been trying to develop it into a community resource. And we're just thrilled to be able to tell you about it today. And with that, I'll turn it over to our presenters. If you have questions during the presentation, please type those into the chat or to the Q&A, and we will try to answer them along the way if possible, or if not, we'll have some time at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carl. As Carl mentioned, my name is Chris Link. I'm the community farm manager with the Southern Appalachian Highlands Conservancy. And Tamarya, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Tamarya. I use she, they pronouns, and I am the community farm associate. Nice to meet y'all.
Yes, I want to say thank you so much for showing up today to be here to hear what we have to share about the farm. We have not done a full lunch and learn about the community farm, so this is many years coming, and we're excited to share what we have done, what's happening now, and then what we are working towards and doing. So what we're going to be covering today are the programs and projects on the farm. There's a lot of history here that we could go down for a while, but we're just going to focus on the projects and programs that we have currently. And just to state this, each of these projects and programs, we could go in depth and have a whole webinar just on each of them as well. So any questions you have, yes, please post them in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them either at the end of a section or at the end of the presentation to get your questions answered. So yes, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen so you don't have to look at my large face. Let's see here. Let me share screen. Okay, I should be sharing now. So this is a beautiful photo of just part of the farm with some of the mountains in the background. This is some of our pasture land. We have 32 acres of improved pasture currently. So that's just one westerly view from the community farm there. So the community farm is under our Access to Land, Livelihood, and Learning program under Connecting People with Land. So we have different programs at SHC, and we fall under Connecting People with Land. And again, we're going to be talking about the different projects and programs and going into some detail on those today. So I have been here since 2015 working on this project. As Carl mentioned, we acquired the farm just after 2010, and many of the projects really got up and running 2013-14 solidly, which we'll be touching on. Again, this land was donated outright by a family named the Anderson family, and we are forever grateful for that donation, as this isn't necessarily a property we would have been seeking. So we've been able to do a lot with that generosity, and yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. So this slide, when it pops up on your screen, shows all the different projects and programs. We have one of the largest time-consuming projects, most active projects is our Farmer Incubator program, which we'll go into. We also have a stream restoration project, 26-acre stream restoration project on site. We have a shortleaf pine reforestation area. We have a farmer workshop series. We also provide a value-added kitchen, which we'll get into the details of what that is later, but it's a place that farmers add value to their products. And we also have a 2-mile discovery trail, educational trail Also, we are going to discuss, and tomorrow we'll talk about volunteerism, community outreach, food justice, environmental education, all tied into what we're doing and all working together. And also at the end, we'll touch on our weddings and events that are beginning to happen now more and more on the farm. Cool. So that's just a screenshot of all the different projects and programs. Now we're going to touch on all of those. I'm going to speak first, my section, and then I'll hand it over to Tamarya to talk about what they are going to talk about. Cool. Okay. So our incubator program, what is an incubator program? It's a business incubator. A lot of people think, oh, chickens, we're having chickens. We're making chickens in an incubator, which is always fun to think about, but we're actually a business incubator. So we provide mainly, and number one, we provide land access. So first, farmers can't farm in the air. So we need land to grow on, to work on. And so we provide access to that land first and foremost. And then we provide access to all the different infrastructures that may be needed for their specific type of production. In addition to that, we have on the ground infrastructure like tractors, tools, equipment, and then we have our technical knowledge and expertise and in the moment support. So it's really, the idea is that it takes a lot of the capital investment that farmers typically have to make themselves, they're starting their own operation, takes away that burden a bit and puts some of that responsibility on us so that the farmers can focus on their business, on their customer base, and on the actual growing or raising, and not all the details of, oh my God, how do I fix this little thing? Or what does that mean? Or who do I talk to for that? So that's what we do with the incubator program. We also work with other organizations in town here in Asheville and nationally that help us to provide what we do provide. There's more information on our website to go deeper into this. We do have an 11-step vetting process from a farmer applying to when they're accepted into the program, and they can be here for 3 up to 5 years. And our carrying capacity varies. We could have one farmer, two or three operations 1 year, 6 the next. It just depends on what's being produced and our capacity. So I like to show a photo of some of our past farmers. These are livestock farmers. These are vegetable farmers, flower farmers that have graduated off. We've had 8 through the program that have graduated. They are working in food policy on their own land growing. Some are working at in educational capacities at other schools, college level education. Some went into extension work and other nonprofit farm work. So we have a wide range, and one took a break from farming after many years with COVID hitting. So there's a wide range of what farmers do after they leave the program, but the idea is to get them on their own land, or at least to be on some type of secure land farming for the quote unquote long term. And this is just a photo and a plan view of some of our growing area on the right there. So those are the graduates. These are some of the photos of all the production. For those of you that have not been to the farm, maybe cannot make it to the farm, we just like to show some photos of some of the production over the years. Some of our infrastructure, like our incubator hub, which is our shipping container, our wash and packing shed, our walk-in cooler is there, our new 100-foot hoop house that we just finished building, and then just showing some of the production that's happening on the farm. So our new farmers, we have 3 new farm operations this year. And so we want to introduce them because there is an opportunity to access what they are growing and support what they are doing and what we are doing. So we're sharing that. This is Justin Jones of Alta Vista Farm. This is a typical vegetable community supported agriculture model. So what that is you pay up front at the beginning of the year for usually a 26, 28 week access to a box of veggies every week. The farmer gets that infusion of capital at the front of the season, and then when everything has grown and is ready to start giving out, they will deliver, or you will come pick up that box weekly of fresh organic vegetables in this case. And so that is a mixed veg operation. He has a website, and we have all of this on our website if you want to access any more of this information. The OGS mentioned there is Organic Grower School, which is another group that we work with, nonprofit in town, to provide some more of the education that these farmers receive. So that's Justin Jones. And I'll mention something at the end of this too on how you can be involved further. Our second farmer is Suzanne Nolter. This is a flower operation, mainly weddings, wholesale, but they are also doing a community supported agriculture model as well. We will have these flowers for sale. We hope for Suzanne to supply some of our events as well here on the farm. And that's Blazing Star Flowers. Sorry, Justin's operation is Alta Vista Farm, which it said on the previous slide. So Blazing Star Flowers. And all of our farmers this year have a lot more experience than we've had in the past. So farmers over the past 4 years have had a year or two experience. All these farmers have at least 4 or 5, which is a big shift. So in addition to a flower production, we also have Noel Poindexter, who is growing herbs. That's culinary medicinal. That's lunar whale herbs is the name of the business. Noel is going to have one of the first, if not the first, fresh herb community supported ag model, CSA model. And so all of these CSA shares you can purchase on the individual farmers' websites. And they are also teaming up together to add as an add-on. Justin has vegetable CSA with an add-on of herbs. And so if anyone on this call, on this presentation, does not want or need a CSA share, all farmers are accepting a CSA share purchase for donation. And so Tamarya can touch on that a little further later. But basically, if you want to purchase a share, it can then be donated to someone who cannot afford but is very interested in, needs and wants access to that herb, to that flower, to that nutritious food. So those are our current farmers that are getting started right now as we speak, literally. And I'm now going to jump into some of the other portions. We have livestock on the farm. Wesley and Cheyenne are our farmers. That is not Cheyenne. That is actually Lauren in that photo, who is a employee of SHC and manages our other properties and infrastructure. But these are some of the cattle and their operation. They have a Brahman Longhorn cross. And a lot of folks love these cattle for their aesthetic quality and use them as a passive manager and grazer of grassland. So that's a Longhorn in the bottom, and you can see that's a Brahman that Lauren is petting the head of there, with the ears that hang down and the big hump. So if you come by the farm, you may see any one of those cattle. We have about 3 new babies on the farm right now, I want to say. You can drive by on our road and take a peek. So that's the last farmer currently that we have. So that's 4 farm businesses currently running at the farm. As I mentioned on the first slide, we also, over the past 5 years, have had a farmer workshop series, and that's typically focused on hands-on farmer content. Everyone is welcome. We never turn anyone away for inability to pay or experience. You don't have to be a farmer. You can just be an interested person and come to our workshops. We cover topics. You can see here in these photos, the top left, that's a walk behind 2-wheel tractor workshop. We have a GAP, which is Good Ag Practice certification process in the top middle, hosted by NC State. We have Tractor 101 for women, which is strictly those who identify that are allowed in that space. We have How to Move on the Farm there in the middle, so taking care of your body for the long term. We have irrigation design off-site at a garden, livestock workshops, and then we also have farm planning. We have season extension. We have irrigation design. So we rotate these based on people's interest and what's needed in the community. So we have shifted those to online and virtual, and we hope to bring those back in person soon. We just finished up a farm planning workshop in partnership with Organic Grower School for their Farm Beginnings program. Okay, it's a lot of information. So we've served, I want to say, we've served hundreds through the workshop series over the past few years. We typically have anywhere from 15 to 40 folks show up for those workshops from everywhere from North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, South Carolina, all over the area. People come to learn about what we're teaching, and we also have consulted on other programs. Right now, we're working with organization in Pennsylvania to provide a 2-wheel tractor workshop up there. Okay. Next, we mentioned the value-added kitchen. So this is a big deal. The value-added kitchen is a place where farmers can access a kitchen that's certified for creating value-added products, so that they can take something like tomatoes, peppers, etc., turn that into tomato sauce, make it more profitable. So the idea here is that it's not easy turning profit as a farmer in the sense of supporting your whole life. So the value-added kitchen is a big piece of some of the control that we could have in creating a more profitable, shelf-stable product that can be not only held for longer and sold in the non-growing season, but also can be shipped. So we worked with Black Trumpet Farm. Dogwood Cottage Baking got their start here. They now have a brick and mortar store in Woodfin. And then we also have our existing farmers. Noel is going to be doing a lot of herb processing in here. So we opened this value-added kitchen. I'm actually sitting in it currently. We opened this value-added kitchen at the beginning of the pandemic. So people have been very interested, and we're just looking and always feeling out how best to serve the community during these times. But the kitchen is ready, and we are going to be advertising that throughout this year and seeing how we can best and safely provide access to this kitchen. So that is a value-added kitchen. Jumping over to our stream restoration project, complete shift. So we've been talking about food production, talking about kitchen use, we've been talking about food access, and now we're discussing another major part of our community farm here, which is the restoration of the stream bank. So the restoration of this stream here was a massive undertaking with the Army Corps of Engineers, in the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, and other consulting and support organizations, as well as actual construction crews that came in, regraded the site, and planted 25,000 native trees and shrubs. We have drop pools that slowed the flow of water. We have slope stabilization used throughout the site. And every year, because this is a what's called a stream bank, it's a mitigation project. We actually have to monitor it every year. And so that little PVC plumbing pipe you see there, that's actually a beacon that measures the level of the water every 15 minutes, which is read every year. They look at rainfall events, they look at the vegetation within the different areas, and we either plant more shrubs, we thin species we don't want, so we're always managing that project. That has been able, through this mitigation bank, which is with the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, we have been able to have a return on the investment of that improvement project. So what that means is, if a developer comes into a site that is going to be developed and impacting a similar French Broad River watershed cool water stream, they have to follow strict guidelines which are set forth by the state in terms of their development, how it's mitigated on that site. And then in addition to that, that developer needs to then purchase linear stream foot credits from a mitigation bank. And that's what we have acted as over the past few years. And so we've been able to see a return of hundreds of thousands of dollars on that investment to put back into all of the farm operations and management, as well as other conservation work. So it's been a really impactful project. So and we continue to if you come out here, our discovery trail hikes all through it, and you can learn more. But we could spend a whole day just talking about this one project here. So in addition to the stream project, which is 26 acres, over 3,000 linear feet, we also have our shortleaf pine project. So the shortleaf pines, when we arrived on the site, when it was donated, we found that the site had been harvested for timber. We found shortleaves in the understory, said, hey, let's select for these trees and plant more. More shortleaves were planted. And that is a mature tree on the left of your screen. And ultimately what we're going for is a grass understory, savanna-like understory, which is an amazing habitat for quail, other birds like the brown-headed nuthatch, which we've heard on site, and many other species which we are excited to see evolve over time. This is obviously a very long-term project. And if anyone's interested in seeing this in its mature state, you can go to the Sandy Mush Game Lands just around the corner from the farm here. We also, to manage this project, and other parts of the farm, we've brought in our biological control, also known as goats. And so the goats come in and they're great at eating kudzu and other invasive species. And then we couple that with a rotational plan so that they eat the different types of invasives at different times of the year. And then we also come through with herbicide, daub, and physical control, because it's not enough to just use goats. We would need probably many more goats on these areas constantly if you really wanted to get it under control. And in reality, the invasives would just be waiting for the moment that they weren't there to pop up and take over. So we have a multi-pronged approach with that, and these goats have been out on the farm for 5 years now, throughout the growing season. And that's with Katie Ecological Services. Katie Ecological, Lauren is the farmer who runs those. So in addition to that control, we've also implemented what's called a control burn. So we've burned our shortleaf pine area and our expansion property, which I'll touch on. We've burned that twice now, and we've seen we've had the Department North Carolina Forest Service out, as well as the Wildlife Service, and they've told us that it looks great, and we look forward to managing through with the burn in the future too, as it makes sense. In addition to handwork out there and planting and releasing of these short leaves in that area. So we couldn't do any of this work out here, and couldn't have done any of this work on the farm without our volunteers. Tamarya is going to talk about other aspects of volunteerism on the farm. This is just historically some of the volunteers that we've had out over the past few years. School groups, K through college in the area. We've also had other colleges from across the country on spring break work days come out. And so this just shows working in the garden, working in our stream area project, working on the windrows, and doing all types of different projects to help with many hands to accomplish a lot of different work. And that also includes things like our trail work. More photos. You can see building a retaining wall there for our trail, more thinning of pines, working on fence lines. We've also had a loft in town. Their staff has been out to help us. We've had different breweries come out with their staff to help us, and just about every other age group on the farm. So I just have to say thank you to all the volunteers that have made so much possible here on the farm. So that concludes my portion for now. I'm going to now pass it over to our community farm associate, Tamarya. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Tamarya, and I'm the community farm associate. I will be talking about some projects I'm doing with environmental education, volunteerism, community outreach, and food justice. And I will start by saying that I started last June, so in the middle of the pandemic. So you're gonna see what I've been up to. Next slide. So since I got here, but I was here between incubator farmers. So we had some space in our vegetable area to grow food. And so I am very food justice oriented, and I started growing some vegetables that I got donated to me from Root Calls and some other organizations. Root Cause Farm out in Fairview. And so you can see I utilized the hoop house in the first photo on the left. I tried to grow outside, as you can see at the bottom right, but the deer just took that all away. So I donated to a couple of different organizations like Bountiful Cities, who donated to the Beaverview community. Also Bounty and Soul out in Black Mountain, and Asheville for Justice, I believe. But you can see some of the numbers of produce that we produced, and this is not all the numbers, which is awesome. We produce a lot more than that. So you can go to the next slide. Asheville for Justice, yeah. So here are some photos of me, and on the right is one of our amazing volunteers, Rebecca, who has helped me a lot with the food production, and most of our volunteers have been weeding or harvesting or doing things with food production, but we have now transitioned because that space is going to be used for the incubator farmers. So you can see us taking out the last of those crops, and we gave those to Bounty and Soul, which you can see the picture on the bottom left. One of their volunteers is holding all of our leafy greens at their drop-off drive-through market, and so those are all donated for free, and they were so excited to have those in the middle of winter. So we are really grateful to have those connections and the space. Next slide. Some other things I do on my day-to-day time at the farm is land management. So you can see me pushing a BCS two-wheel tractor, bush hogging majestically on the tractor, that big blue tractor, or weed whacking. We have a nice view after I mowed down the field on the second photo from the left, and there's 2 deer out there, which you can barely see, but it's 2 specks in the field. And then the top 2 photos, one is our seed drill. So we cover cropped the area before our farmers got here, and also me weed whacking. So I do a lot of land management in my day-to-day activities, or going around to secure fences and things like that, as well as managing our trail. Next slide. Yeah, and then more recently, we have been working on our hoop house on our new expansion property. So we have built a 100-foot greenhouse or hoop house that is now being used by our herb and flower farmers, which is amazing. We put in a lot of work, so I'm really happy about that. And we are also preparing some sites for wildflowers and for pollinators. I will talk about this later on, but we also have honeybees. So we need some more wildflower fields. And so in the middle photo, you can see Rebecca. That was the day me and Rebecca weed whacked a hillside that had a bunch of bramble on it. So that was really fun. I can't see what that last bullet point says for some odd reason, but we have also been creating salamander plots in the stream area to talk about macroinvertebrates, aquatic macroinvertebrates, which is some citizen science that I've done, and all of my college years have talked about macroinvertebrates, as well as talking about stream health, and bioindicators and climate change, because we can look at the critters in our stream and around our stream to figure out if there's things like acidic rain and other things happening close to us or on the farm. So yeah, next slide. I also manage our volunteer days and volunteer groups. So we've had some days where just individual volunteers come out to the farm and help with weeding in our hoop house or clearing out the field. You can also see we have groups like school groups who come and maybe clip pines in our stream area to help preserve the shortleaf pines, or just move some compost. And so we've introduced some new groups to the farm that are recovery center groups, which I'm really excited about, because the land and working outside is so therapeutic, and it's great to have some of that happening on the farm. And then also with that, we'll also probably have volunteers start with monitoring the salamanders and helping with putting those plots out, because we haven't had too many school groups out yet. So that's what volunteering looked like more recently. A lot of the things we've been doing now is more hard on the body, so we've been trying to spare you guys. All right, next slide. Yeah, so I'm also a beekeeper. I was supposed to get certified last year, and I've taken 3 different bee schools in 3 different counties, but COVID hit, and so I didn't get to take my test yet, but I plan on doing it with the Buncombe County beekeepers. So in the past, I've worked on the educational farm, and we've used bees as a way to relate to school standards, science standards, and other standards with youth, talking about pollination and what it means to have pollinators around a garden or vegetables. So my initial want for the bees was not to be for production or honey production or anything like that. It is all for educational purposes. So a little backstory on our bees. We got 1 batch of bees when I first got here, and they really took us for a run and for our money, and they swarmed twice and then got attacked by a bear. So those are the bees on the right that I am using the smoker on, but they were so beautiful, and it is just really great interacting with bees and having to be very calm and go with things at their pace. The top left are some bees we just got recently donated to us, and I'm going to need to harvest some honey soon from that, which is really amazing. But they have been already pollinating right before spring, and I've seen red, yellow, and orange pollen on them. So it's really amazing to see that up and close. And don't worry, I have made a new bear fence, so hopefully they do not attack these bees. Next slide. So another part of my job position is community outreach. And this is something I'm really passionate about, because I love to teach and equip people with the knowledge to grow their own food and medicine. So I have been seeking out Black gardens, community gardens in Asheville, to support them in any way they need, whether that is planting, weeding, or teaching youth in those communities. So in the first photo, I mentored some youth from the Burton Street community in the garden on Wednesdays for the fall season. And so we grew so much food, and this is at the Vine Community Garden, which is owned by the church in the back of that photo, but it is in the same community as the Burton Street Community Peace Gardens and Martha Jane's Garden. So I taught them how to use garden tools. I taught them pest management, which is what they're doing in that first photo, is looking for caterpillars and aphids. And I also taught them how to harvest. And yeah, so there was a lot of work at those gardens. And I've also worked with other gardens like Shiloh Community Garden, Southside Community Garden, and now working with Stevens Lee and East End Community. I'm doing a partnership with the Asheville Parks and Rec. So I'm doing some more things over there right now, but I'm going to talk about that more on the next slide. Next slide. It's a little delay. Okay, so in this slide, you can see some of the screen grabs from our Instagram, for Black History Month in February, I interviewed a bunch of the Black gardens in Asheville about the history of their space, how they feel these gardens impact their community, and what they would like to see for the gardens in the community. So you can find that on our Instagram page and our Facebook page. And so we have Mr. Roy Harris, who is an amazing person in the Southside community, Community Garden. We do a lot of other work with that garden through our AmeriCorps, and so that's an amazing place. There's a lot of teaching going on there. The second photo is at the Stevens Lee Easton Garden. So if you know anything about Stevens Lee Easton, that's where the edible park is. It was one of the first edible parks in the nation, but I reached out to them because I noticed they didn't have any vegetable beds. And so I helped with getting that going along and building the beds and hoping to do some environmental education and herbal education, which is why that it's important for you guys to check out our CSAs through our incubator farmers, because Justin and Noel have also already expressed interest in donating food and herbs to some of the programs that I'm doing, but also to the community members, like giving them CSA shares and things like that. So it's really important that you guys check that out. The third photo is Dwayne Barton of the Burton Street community. He's amazing. He has a group of young boys in the community that he teaches technical skills to. And so me mentoring the boys at the bottom is a part of those technical skills, learning how to grow food. And last but not least, we have a new partnership with Eco Explore at the North Carolina Arboretum. And so I'm really excited about that because I know I'm a certified environmental educator and do a lot of citizen science. So I'm really excited about enhancing our discovery trail to do some birding, wildflowers, there's dragonfly badges, entomology badge, macroinvertebrate badge, I believe. So there's a lot of badges and there's a lot of things happening out here. So we're going to be doing some events with them, and those are something you have to sign up for. So keep an eye out for that, because we do keep a max group number of 10 or 15. So we want to make sure that everyone's safe and we're just respectable. And the next slide. I am also the social media connoisseur, marketing connoisseur. I run our Instagram page and our Facebook page. It just started ringing, so hopefully you guys can hear me. And yeah, I do a lot of curating, education, partnerships. I do it all. In the Instagram, I'm also a freelance photographer, so I love taking photos of things on the farm. So please check that out and follow us. We need to upgrade this because we now have 700 followers. So that's amazing. And yeah, there's going to be some workshops and things coming up with me personally, partnering with Bountiful Cities and the Parks and Rec at Stevens Lee. So please keep an eye out for that. And I think I am done here.
Thank you so much, Tamarya. So last couple slides here, we're almost finished. I just want to touch on, we on site here on the farm, the original farmhouse, we converted into a venue and short-term rental space. We also provide access to the building that houses our kitchen and our educational space for other events. And so what we've been able to do is to through the partnerships that we do have, be able to create this amazing venue space to help with some of the, to help fund a portion of all that it takes to keep everything moving here at the community farm and as an organization. So we have quite a few weddings scheduled for this year. And last year we had just a few with COVID, of course, but that is just another revenue stream to help us do and accomplish all that we do as a organization and as a farm specifically here. And last but not least, I have to again say, acknowledge and thank and say a thank you to all of our different community farm and SHC partners. This is just a few of the organizations that we have worked with and do work with. We've worked extensively with Organic Grower School to bring many different projects, programs, and educational content to community members and farmers alike. We've also partnered heavily with NC State and NC Farm Link to provide trainings and to support farmers and landowners in their farm search and ultimate land access, as well as helping landowners do what they'd like to do with their land, be it support farmers in whatever capacity that manifests as. So again, Community Foundation of Western North Carolina, huge supporter of what we do out here. So many projects have come to fruition because of their funding. And so a thank you to them, and then all the different other educational groups, ASAP and other national level organizations, Intervale, Agrarian Trust, state funding, NRCS funding, CFSA, Carolina Farm Stewardship, just the list goes on and on. This is just a portion. And so we've been able to accomplish what we do out here because of all these partnerships. So crucial. So with that, I will say thank you and open up, I guess if there are any active audio questions, I guess that can happen now, or turn it back over to Carl, Pauline.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Tamarya. And thanks to everybody who has joined the webinar today. And I see a couple of